Alright, so we're watching every OP defense in anime explained in 9
Golden
minutes.
Experience Requiem. Golden
Yes.
Experience Requiem is considered one of the most powerful stands in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It is the evolved form of Giorno Giovanna's stand, created when Golden Experience is pierced by the Requiem arrow. Its main ability is an absolute defensive power that nullifies causality. When an opponent takes any action, moving, attacking, or using a stand ability such as stopping or erasing time, Golden Experience Requiem resets that action to 0. The cause occurs, but the effect never does. In simple terms, it works like an undo on reality. An opponent may attempt an attack, but before the result can happen, Golden Experience Requiem resets events to the moment before the action began. This reset affects not only the physical action, but also the opponent's will to carry it out. The enemy is left in a state where they can never reach
What the hell?
the truth of their intended outcome.
Yo, what the fuck is going on? What the hell? Who's that? Alright.
Experience Requiem is sentient and can
Alright, this is kind of scary, bro. Something not right. Something not right, bro.
act independently of Giorno. During the fight with Diavolo, it was able to move and speak within erased time, even while Giorno himself was unaware of what was happening.
Yeah, I know. Fuck. Oh my god.
The result is not a normal death. Because death is an effect, it can be reset to 0 as it occurs. The victim experiences the act of dying, but before that death can be completed, it is undone. They are then placed into another situation where they die again. This process repeats endlessly, trapping the victim in an infinite loop of deaths without ever reaching a final end. Lion's Heart.
I was curious about this. What is this from? I've never heard of this.
It's an authority from ReZero used by the Sin Archbishop Regulus Corneus. Its effect allows Regulus to stop time within his own body. While the world and time continue to move normally, his body remains completely frozen at a single point in time.
So he doesn't age, basically, that's all?
Breathing, and all bodily functions are halted. Because
so how is he alive? You should be dead.
time does not progress within his body, outside attacks and natural phenomena have no effect on him. Any attempt to harm him fails, since his body is locked in a moment where damage cannot occur.
But how is he alive? You need your heart to beat. Wow. Otherwise, if your heart not beating, you dead.
Same reason, Regulus cannot be affected by things like water, exhaustion, or aging. He does not need to eat, breathe, sleep,
confused.
or
This
age
doesn't make
because
sense.
his body is frozen in a state where those needs are already fulfilled. This ability also lets Regulus extend Lion's Heart to others. For example, he can pick someone up and throw them, and because time in their body is affected the same way, they aren't impacted by gravity, wind, or any other natural forces. Essentially, while affected by Lion's Heart, the normal laws of the world don't apply to them. By itself, Lion's Heart can only be used for 5 seconds at most, but Regulus has another ability called Little King, which lets him use Lion's Heart indefinitely. Little King works by placing a heart inside someone he considers his. As long as that person is alive and their heartbeat continues, the cooldown on
what? That he considers his? That not making sense. Even if he considers someone his, if the other person does not consider themselves as his, then they're not his. What is he? What? That ability doesn't even make sense, bro. What the fuck? What? Something ain't right out here, boy.
Heart in 1 out of 100 wives. If that wife dies or stops serving,
why do they all look like kids, bro? I'm not liking this. Mind you, I haven't been watching ReZero since like the first season. No, the end of the first season. This I'm not liking, bro. What
the heart transfer
is this another Rudy's PDF type of file, bro? What's going on?
Another, ensuring Lion's Heart can remain active forever. Infinity. Infinity is one of the techniques displayed through Gojo's curse technique, Limitless. At its core, the Limitless allows Gojo to manipulate space at an atomic level using his cursed energy. The neutral state of the Limitless technique is Infinity. Infinity creates a barrier
that was mad disrespectful, bro. That part was mad disrespectful. I
reaching
didn't.
Gojo himself.
Kinda crazy.
He continuously halves the distance
Kinda crazy.
He continuously halves the distance between an attacker and Gojo. Mathematically speaking, no matter how many times you divide something in half, it will never reach 0. Similarly, no attack can ever reach Gojo.
That's
it's like
true.
dividing 1 by 2 repeatedly in a calculator.
It's
The
still
value
gonna-
keeps getting
yeah.
smaller, but never truly
Never
reaches
reaches
0. As a result, every attack aimed at Gojo, whether physical strikes, projectiles, or even infinite forces, is caught by Infinity and never reaches him. The only way to bypass Infinity is by using something capable of overcoming supernatural phenomena or by bypassing the very concept of space itself.
Exactly.
Reflection. Reflection is a Shinjutsu ability used by Daemon in Boruto. The power is simple. Any hostile intent aimed at him is instantly reflected back at the attacker.
That's trash,
the attack
bro.
doesn't fail, it reverses. It doesn't
And
matter
Boruto,
how
by
the
the way,
harm
is ass. I don't care about what nobody says. Boruto is shit, man.
attempted. Physical attacks, energy-based techniques,
I don't
traps,
care about the drip. I don't care about the manga. I don't care. It's all shit, man. It's bad.
or
Boruto
even
is
killing
garbage.
intent itself, all rebound onto the person who initiated them. Unlike most reflection abilities in anime, Daemon doesn't need to activate this power consciously, and he doesn't need
It's
to
always
touch his
active?
opponent. Any attempt to hurt him results in the attacker being harmed instead. If you punch him, you take the damage. If you think about killing him, that intent turns back on you. There are conditions to how Daemon's ability works. To reflect a physical
Why he look
action
like
or
this,
attack,
bruh?
Daemon must be in contact with someone. This can be the opponent or an ally. As long as he is touching another person, any action aimed at him is
Are you for real, bro? This is shit. This is literally shit, bro. What kind of fucking ability is this? As long as he's in contact with someone else, he can reflect any attack. Bruh. That means that if he alone, he could, bruh. What the fuck? This ability is
reflected
shit.
back. His reflection can also be transferred to the person he is touching. However, harmful intent works differently. Daemon does not need physical contact to reflect intent. The moment an attacker harbors hostile or killing intent toward him, that intent is instantly reflected back onto the attacker. This applies
But the attack itself is not. This is so stupid, bruh.
to all forms of harmful intent, including killing intent.
The Almighty. The Almighty is a
I've never seen such a stupid reflective ability, bro. What
Shrift,
the hell?
the most powerful ability in the Bleach universe, wielded by Yuha, the
It's
main
powerful,
villain of the
bro.
series.
Remind you, the only reason why they won was through plot armor and a rushed ending, because the other had some problems. I forgot what exactly was happening to him, but the other had some problems. So he said, "Nah, bro, this fight wouldn't. Only this fight would last longer. They would need something for real, but we gotta rush it up." They ain't plot armor
the
that
Almighty
big, boy.
allows its user to see and know everything. The primary power of the Almighty is the ability to see all possible futures, enabling Yuha to plan, react, and counter any situation with perfect foresight. The extent
Yeah,
of
but
this
later
ability
on, he can even bring about an erase or something like.
depends largely on the user's own power. The true danger, however, lies in the Almighty's secondary ability. Not only can it see all possible futures, but
It
it
is
can
a power
also
to
alter
alter,
them.
yep.
By observing different futures, Yuha understands every aspect of each timeline and can selectively change events as he sees fit. This
Exactly.
means he can prevent attacks from ever
Yeah,
reaching him.
mind you, that was the panel before this. He had just turned Bankai Hornet Salvation, pulled out all the stop right after. Boom, it's gone. Useless. It was completely
Or
useless,
even
bro.
erase the
That shit was
circumstances of
funny.
his own death, making him virtually untouchable. The Almighty also gives Yuha
Not
complete
untouchable, but
adaptability
immortal,
to any
yeah.
attack, making him essentially unstoppable. However, there are a few ways to bypass his ability. One method occurs when Yuha is asleep. The weaker version of the Almighty is transferred to his second in command. This version can see the future but cannot alter it like Yuhava.
Yeah, he
if the
just
second in
sees it.
command is killed while possessing the Almighty, Yuha
You
loses the
also
ability
lose it, yeah.
permanently. Another way to bypass the Almighty is by altering the past, which can effectively nullify it. Additionally, a power based on illusion like Aizen's can bypass the Almighty entirely.
Yup.
Without such methods, Yuha is virtually unstoppable. Inside his own
I
universe,
mean,
however,
they had to use Aizen, they had to use Ichigo full power, they had to get one man to betray them, they brought Grimjo, they brought everybody, bro. They made a special arrow to pierce his heart, bro. That shit was nonsensical, bro. I'm not gonna lie, they gotta change this ending in the anime, because the manga ending was it was not making none sense. It was like plot armor at its finest, bro.
However, he is not invincible. Others can access weapons like the Silver Arrow or Zangetsu, which can counter him.
Yep.
Kamui. Kamui is a
It's
space-time
kind of a defensive ability, though. Not really. You can use the defense like when Obito was Toby, he was using it to basically on himself so that every attack will phase through him. Well, not phase. It send him to the Kamui dimension, and he immediately sent it back, making it seem like they phased through him. And but
jutsu of the Mangekyo Sharingan possessed by both Obito and Kakashi.
Yep.
This ability was so broken that the author had to keep it split up for most of the series. What Kamui does is manipulate space-time to warp objects or people caught within the jutsu into a dimension that can only be accessed by the Kamui user. When this happens, the objects or people are shown being sucked into a spiraling pattern. Kamui works differently depending on which eye is used. The left eye allows the user to use Kamui at long range, warping objects or people from a distance into the Kamui dimension.
I did not notice this. What the fuck? Why did I notice this?
Grants the user the ultimate defensive mechanism. With the right eye, the user can warp parts of their own body into the Kamui dimension, effectively making themselves.
Why did I not notice this? Because, yeah, when you deep it, I don't think this was explained, though. When you deep it, Kakashi never used it on his own body. He always used it on some other, you know what I'm saying? Either on a person or on something else, or it's an attack, or his own attacks, or he used it as an attack, but he never used it on himself. But Obito did the reverse of that. He only used it on himself, but couldn't use it outside of himself. I never noticed. Wow.
Intangible. Any attack directed at them simply passes through and doesn't land.
Never noticed.
Most of the time, the user of Kamui can practically ignore being harmed in battle because no attack
because to touch someone, he cannot be in Kamui mode, as I call it.
Kamui also allows the user to travel extremely long distances in a very short period of
that
time.
shit was funny.
On top of that, Kamui can absorb anyone or anything it comes into contact with and lock them inside the Kamui dimension. It also enables the user to move through barriers or underground at will, all without
So here's the question. Would Kamui work on Infinity? Because technically, Kamui, like, I'm not saying just one eye, I'm saying if both eyes. Let's say Kakashi, and while fighting Kaguya. Would Kakashi fighting Kaguya would be able to bypass Infinity? I think he would. I feel like he definitely would, bro. Like, he using Kamui to manipulate everything. Wouldn't he even be, I think, like, double Mangekyo Sharingan, Kakashi could definitely bypass Infinity. He does beat it in Gojo, you know what I'm saying?
Traced. There are some limitations to the phasing aspect of the ability. First, the user can't physically engage with someone they weren't in contact with before activating the jutsu. Another limitation is that Kamui has a 5-minute time limit for how long the user can remain intangible to avoid attacks. Aside from these, the only ways an opponent has a chance to land a hit are if the Kamui user's physical body materializes, or if the attacker can somehow send themselves or their attack into the Kamui dimension. In that case, they can damage the part of the user's body that exists inside the dimension.
Overall capacity, I would get in terms of offensive, because defensive, I'd put All Might no, because Gur activate even when you activate a technique. So Gur would be number 1. Golden Experience Requiem. Then it would be Almighty. Then it'd be I don't know. I'm stuck between Kamui would be 3rd. What was there? There was Reflective. Reflective is last. Let's be honest. Reflective is last because it requires you to be in contact with someone else to actually reflect an attack. Reflecting intent ain't gonna do shit. So reflective is last. So there was 6 abilities. Number 1 is Golden Experience Requiem. Number 2 is Almighty. Number 3, I'll give it to Kamui because I think that in terms of defensive ability, Infinity would be stronger. But in terms which would be, then I'm kind of stuck on these two. But if you put Kamui versus Infinity, Kamui would triumph over Infinity. So I'm putting Kamui in third. And then Lionheart would be fifth, because I don't know much about Lionheart. From what I've understood of it, there's a huge flaw inside, as I'm not understanding how he's alive if his heart is not beating. So it's 5. So the ranking would be Golden Experience Requiem as number 1. Number 2 would be Kamui. Number 2 would be Almighty. Number 3 would be Kamui. Number 4 would be Infinity. Number 5 would be Lionheart, and last would be Reflective. All right, that's my ranking. What is y'all ranking? That's my ranking from what I understood and from what I know of these abilities. That's how I would rank them in terms of effectiveness, whether it's in combat or just as a defensive ability. That would be my ranking. What is y'all ranking? Because that's mine. That's mine. You might not agree with it. I don't give a fuck. just show me what yours would be. I don't give a fuck about what you gotta say about mine. Just show me what yours would be. God damn, why am I? All right, I'm leaving. No, this ain't right, bro. I keep.